Welcome to my channel again. So we will continue from our last tutorial where we discussed about introduction to C Sharp and Visual Studio. I want to assume that most of my audience already, installed the Visual Studio and probably, get it running. You should be able to create project by now if you follow the last tutorial. If not, you can go back and visit it. The last tutorial 1, introduction to Visual Studio and C Sharp. So today we'll be talking about data types, classes, objects, and method. I'm going to try and keep it, um, really short and straightforward so we don't have some information overload. So I'm going to try and first of all zoom my screen here because I noticed the last lecture was a little bit smaller on the screen. I really hope that was the reason. So anyway, first of all, before we proceed, I'll talk about data type. So in C Sharp, we have data types, which means the types of data we want to work with. For example, if we have something like text, like a name, probably like, spellings and names and all that, we have a data type in C Sharp that we use to handle that. It's called a string data type. If we have something like numbers, probably, any number you can think of, we have integer data type. But when it comes to handling numbers, we can also have some decimal numbers like 67.9. We can have money value like price. A price of an item might be like 45.70. Okay, so in a case where a number is decimal but it's not a money value, we can use something like a double to handle that. I'll be showing in the example, but if it's a money value, we want to use decimal. Okay, so by the time we assign a decimal to a value, we also want to tell the compiler that this is money value. That way we just put M in front of the data type. Well, I'll show you how that works. Okay, we also have a Boolean data type as well. So this pretty much tells us if a condition is true or false. Okay, we also have a date time data type to assign time. We can even use a class itself as a data type, but that's a little bit complex at this stage right now, but we'll eventually get to that point where we can instantiate class and use a class as a data type. But for now, I just wanted to have in mind that we have this data type in C Sharp and we have a whole lot more. But for the beginning part, from the basic levels, I want us to focus on these data types because these are the ones that we'll be using for the most part of it. Okay, so let's go into the code. Um, so I'll be talking about classes first. So like I said in my last tutorial, this is a namespace. We can have multiple class. I can create a class in here like class person. I can have a class like, let me see, class person, and then demarcate the class itself. Okay, you see that? I put demarcation in itself. So that means now I have two classes in here. But in real life, do we actually do that? In real life, what we do is we actually create a class, to make the application as abstract as possible, separation of concern. We can also go to the Solution Explorer here, right click on the project, click on add. You can just come and select class, or you can go to new item and select it from here. We also have other things you can add, which is interface, entity data model, but these are a little bit not for you for now. Just focus on the class part. So let me assume that the class name will be student class. So I'm creating a student class. A student class is created. Now if we go to the Solution Explorer, we'll see we have a student class here, as you can see. So in the student class, let's assume that okay, so I want to create a method in the student class. Let me assume that I have a method of I want to get the student data, right? So public void student data. In the student data, I want to get something like student name, which would be like string name, student age, int age, and let me see, I think I should play with the money type. Okay, let's assume that student also has money, decimal amount of money that the student owns. Okay, now I've created a method here. Now the void type shows that I'm not returning anything. I just want to implement the value in this method. I mean, we can have other types as much as a string type, which has to return a string value, int type, but I'll show you what that is. Probably create another method to show that, but for now let's work with void. So in the void, I want to have let me assume that there's console. So I want to print out whatever the user. Now I don't know what the student name is. I don't know what the age is. I don't know what the amount is, but the user will input that in the application level. We'll find out. Console.writeLine, but I want to print out whatever the user input. Okay. So I'll say user name is user. Okay, sorry about that. So it's going to be user name is okay plus name. So the plus operator sign is for us to like explicitly input data in the middle of, displaying results. So whatever the username inputs, it will be shown here, and you will see that by the time we print it out. Okay, so age is okay plus age. Okay, then I want to also assign the amount. Amount is okay plus amount. Okay, so for the most part I think this is what we need right now. So I want to make sure it's readable. Console.writeLine. Console.writeLine, and that's how that works for the most part. So now I have the method ready to get the student data, and I will go to the main entry class. So this is a class, my student class. I have the method set up there, but how do I access this method? So this is the main entry class. If you remember yesterday, we talked about the main method in one of our syllabus. We talked about main method, entry point method. Okay, in the console application, this is the entry point method. So this is the entry point method. The moment the application is started, it will first of all come here. So I'm putting a debugger here, and I also put a debugger here in the student class to show you how the application works, the code works behind the scene. So here now in the main entry point, I have a class student here on the other side. But here, how do I actually access the main entry point? Now that's where the object instantiate class instantiation comes in. So I have to create a class of a student, an object of student. How do I create an object of student? I'll probably just what I'll do is type student, name the object, probably st is equals to new student. So here I have created a student object, and the object name is st. I can give it any name I want. I can put pro, I can put j, I can put whatever. So let me just assume it is a student j is equals to new student. So now j now will give me access to the student class. J dot, you can see the student data. It give me access to the student data, right? Okay, so student data. The student data, if you look at the IntelliSense, it requires me to put the student name, student age, and the amount, because that is how I have defined the method here. Okay, so in the real life application, if I want to enter these details, it will be in form of a text field that the user interface will ask users to enter a name in a namespace, an age in an age space, and the amount in an amount text box and stuff like that. But because this is a console application, so I can explicitly declare that here. Excuse me. So I can say string name is equals to John. Okay. Int age is equals to 19. Okay. Amount, how much does John has? Decimal amount is equals to, let's assume John has 350.20 cents. in his bank. Now see something. So this decimal is now it's not going to recognize this because it's saying that the compiler sees it as a double instead of money. If I put double here, it will recognize it. Okay, it's just a decimal number, but when it's money, I have to put decimal and then also in front of the value I will assign M to tell the compiler it is money. Okay, so now J dot get the student data. Now I'm going to assign this value into the student data. Remember, in the student class we have string name, string age, string amount, and here I have entered the name as John, age as 19, amount. So I'll just put that to cover this, to fulfill this method we are calling, which is name, age, amount. Okay, so now we have that set up, and if we debug this now, let me start the program, it will come to the entry point, and this circle will change to arrow. Just watch that, this red circle, watch it will change to arrow the moment it start debugging. Okay, you see that? So now you can see the name is assigned as John here. Okay, then the amount, age is 19, amount is 350.20. Okay, student J, the moment it hits this method here, it will go into the student class, and you can see that, right? Methods here. Okay, assign it, print it out, go back. Okay, then it will print it out. Now it should print out the details as we want it to, execute. So so that is how it works for the most part. And what we have to do here is console.readline. I'm sorry, not write line. So that's why it didn't print out. So readline will actually make it readable. Otherwise, it will just pop out. So let's debug that again. And then it will come and then print it out. Username is John. Age is 19. Amount is 320. Okay, so quick one, just to fulfill the other explanation of a method with a return type. Let's assume that we have another method in the class, which is public int. What I want to do is I want to create a method that can actually add numbers. You can do anything with this thing, but let's just have fun with it. Public int addition. So in the addition, of course, I will need two numbers that I want to add. I can have as much numbers as possible, but let's just keep it simple. Int number 1, int number 2. So because I want the method to be able to add, at least I'll have to return a result, right? The result type will be an integer as well. That's why I put the int type. Okay, it's going to be returned an integer. So a result, I have to create a variable for a result as well. Int result. Okay, then I can do something like result is equals to whatever number 1 is plus whatever number 2 is. Okay, then just return the result. So what happens there is whatever the user enters as number 1 plus whatever the user enters as number 2, result is going to collate both of them together and then return the result of adding both numbers, because that's what I have instructed the result to do here. I told the result here to add number 1 and number 2, then whatever the total of that is, return it here, return result. Let's see how that works. Okay, I'm going to put a debugger on that. Then here, let's just close this. So user should enter one of the numbers that should be added. I'll probably want to have something like int number 1 is equals to 20, int number 2 is equals to 30. So here I probably want to instantiate the object of the student class. So remember how we instantiated it the other time. Student st is equals to new student. So I want to access the add method st.addition. Okay, so st.addition. The addition is requiring me to put num1 and num2. So here I have num1, num2. Okay. So because I want to print it out, I'll just have console.writeLine to to print that out. Console.writeLine. Inside of that, I will just put the the method. I'll call the method from inside of that. Then right after that, I will make it readable. Read line. Okay, so let's try that and see how that works. You can also add, let's first of all try it, debug it and see how it works. Okay, so let's follow the debugging. It goes to the method itself, add it, 50, result is 50. You can see the result here, 50. So let's print it out. Okay, it goes back to the entry point, read line. So it gives us 50, right? You can see the 50 here. So I can also add something else here, like the total result is the total result of of plus num1 plus and plus num2 plus equal to let's see how that works. Let's see how that works. So I just want it to be much more clearer. So it will give us debug it. Okay, it says the total result of 20 and 30 is equals to 50. So basically that's how that works. So the takeout point is that I created a class and I created two methods in the class. Okay, I created a addition method and student data method. So in a class you can literally have a lot of method in a class, and then wherever you want to instantiate the class, you create an instance of the class. You use the instance to access any method you want in the class, and then you can print it out. So if you really like this video, don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see in the next class. If you have any other questions, just put it in the comment section and I'll check the comment section and we'll go from there. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next